In this second part of lesson 2 for ELA, we're going to review the strategies for the 8 types of reading comprehension questions. Okay, so firstly, please understand kind of the tools at your disposal, right? There is a video of each of these types of questions. There's one video that tackles 2, okay? So they're paired up, 4 total videos, 8 types of questions. What I'm going to go through now is going to be quick. It's going to be a very condensed version of like the key strategy for that type of question. So for those that don't want to spend kind of 10 minutes watching those 4 videos each, right? So about 45 minutes of watching total, I think. Here is your quick summary. Main idea questions. Expect a main idea question in every single passage. Therefore, your strategy is very simple, right? You are looking for the main idea as you read. You don't have to wait for the question to find the main idea, okay? Anticipation is key. So where do you look for that? In the blurb, very helpful, right? Titles are really, really important because, right, like if you're reading in a text, right, you're always looking at the titles because it kind of separates the section. Well, very similar here for blurbs, right? They set up the rest of it. Look there. Also just kind of skim, like beginning, middle is sometimes helpful in science because they're often introduced like the new study or something that kind of changed the traditional way of thinking, or the end. Now, what kind of a strategy is that, right? Look in the middle, the beginning, the middle, of the end. Well, obviously. But really, it's a matter of just kind of training your eye in that first 3-minute read to kind of skim for what the main idea is to begin with. And as you do more practice, you'll tend to kind of, both in the English and then in the science and social studies, kind of have just more of an eye for where that's going to be. Okay. I also, for that one, just to kind of expand on what's here, I often like to, let me type this out here. I like to find a sentence as I'm reading. That is the main idea. So I kind of look for it as I'm reading and even like mark it off as I'm doing it. Okay. All right. And this is more of like a side thought. So, okay. So really those are, that's my kind of main idea stuff. Okay. Stated detail, right? This is like a type of question that asks you exactly for like in this line, what's happening. Okay. Very simple strategy. You need to look carefully and you need to go back to the lines. If you're thinking that you can either A, not go back, or B, go back and kind of skim, neither one's going to work. Go back, very specifically read every word and try to comprehend that word. Again, I recommend the reading comprehension video from lesson 1. Okay. Get that information there through the mind. You can see it, you understand it, go back to the answers. Okay. Inference is based on the passage, right? It's not in the passage. So do not choose an answer that is in the passage because that would not be an inference. But don't infer too much. Okay. That was the key from that lesson. All right. You're going to have graphic questions, right? In the science or social studies passages, obviously not in the English. What are the tips there? Give yourself a go at this. So pause the video, right? Without looking at this answer key, do you remember? What are the tips for graphic problems? Okay. Use the title. It sounds so simple, right? Kind of like the main idea, but the title is something our eyes often just skim right over, right? And we dive into like right the meat of the graph where really the title is going to set the tone and set up the information. Use the axis labels. What information is being portrayed in the X and Y axis, right? Find patterns. As X goes up, for instance, what's happening to Y? Are there outliers, right? So digesting a graphic problem, right, is really about understanding how the data is set up and then what is the data doing? And perhaps where are these random data points coming from? Vocab and context. You saw this video. This is the most important strategy, and there really is no other. You must choose your own word, okay? Go into the text, choose your own word for that vocab word, pull it out as if it doesn't even exist, pick your own word. Do not plug in the answer choices. That will trick you every time. Pick your own word, match your words up to the answers. That is the way to ace the vocab and context. If you can't think of your own word, pick a positive sign or a negative sign or an N for neutral and test your answers based on that. Okay. Next type of question, evidence. Again, there's a whole video that covers the vocab and context and the evidence questions. But for a quick summary, you've connected the question that says, right, which evidence or which line numbers provide the evidence to answer the previous question. You've already connected that question to the previous question. So you're using those line numbers to answer the previous question. Those must click, right? This answer must have evidence that supports it. But more importantly, this answer has to be right, right? So there's often going to be those two pairs of answers that click, but only one is going to be correct for the first question. Okay. Again, more detail, go back to the main video. Last two types of questions you're going to see. Author's choice or structure questions. If you are in an AP language and composition class, you might call this type of question rhetorical analysis. If you don't know what that means, don't even worry about it. These are the types of questions that kind of ask you, why is the author doing something, right? What is the purpose of the repetition of this word in lines 5 through 6, right? You want to just kind of put on your hat of like, why is the author doing something, right? Think like the author. Why put this word in twice? Why structure this passage the way it's structured? What was the author thinking? That is going to lead you to the right place for those types of questions. And the SAT is more and more looking at kind of how passages are structured and really seeing, can you understand it on a kind of paragraph by paragraph level and maybe sentence by sentence even. Excellent. Last one is tone. These don't show up all that much anymore. What is that kind of like attitude that you're getting from the passage? Less so. Again, I've seen like one or two in the last few tests. So you just kind of look for positive or negative feelings from words, from sentences, and eliminate answers based on that. Okay. So that's the second half of the lesson 2, week 2. And your homework here, I'm just going to give it to you now, is going to be to begin to do some of the passages and do some of the questions. Okay. So, oh, sorry, this isn't even homework. My bad. At this point in the lesson, you would take practice test 8, okay? And let's do it. We're going to do section 1, passage 1. I'll be honest, we don't always get to this. I think that's why I just said it was homework. I think typically in these classes, we kind of bump this into homework. But if there is time, or if there was time in the class that you missed, we would have done section 1, passage 1, which you've already read, but we would have done all the questions. Okay. So if you want to pause now, give it a try. 13 minutes, right? You're going to turn right to this. Hopefully you didn't see any of the answers there. You'll turn to this. You'll do that 3-minute skim, even though you're going to be off to a good start because we already did this one. And then give yourself the 10 minutes to complete these questions. Okay. Pause the video now, do that, or check in with me because again, we might not have gotten to that yet in week 2. Either way, it would be bumped into the homework for week 3. Okay. I will do another short video that will explain your homework leading into week 3. Have a great one.